YouTube, it's the Bad Wolf. You guys know who I am. We're going to talk about, let's see, something new. Nah, not yet. Right to travel. And we're going to go to Oklahoma. So let's take a look. This is the last one I'm doing for you guys, showing you guys how to do it. It's time for you guys to, well, learn how to do this part for yourself. So once again, let's take a look over there and see what we got. All right. Now, mind you, I'm on ChatGPT. You can just do this on Google if you want, but I'm going to ask Chat. I want you to find the state of, oh, I'm totally going to probably ruin this spelling, Oklahoma. Oh, I had it right. Go me. Just need to capitalize it. State of Oklahoma. Their legislative code on non-resident registration. Now I'm going to put comma, non-space resident in case they spell it this way. Registration, comma, exempt vehicles. Okay, in case they do it that way. Or private vehicles. Now, there's only like maybe one state that actually had, I think they had touring, grant of touring in the state or something like that, which is, that's a new one for me. I guess they're getting a little sketchy out there. They want to try to switch it up so we can't just do what I'm showing you guys here. So get your codes now, get your information, put this in your binder. All right. So yeah, so there it is. Now let's see what it finds. Remember, ChatGPT does make mistakes. You guys have seen me correct it many a time. All right. It was built in the belly of the beast, so it does not understand private law. Okay. Or you have to, it doesn't really understand a lot of that stuff. It just doesn't. It's not built on learning like your private rights, things of that nature. All right. So it's almost there. All right. So it goes, okay, yep. So it says key definition. Who is a non-resident? Non-resident definition for Oklahoma is every person who is not a resident of this state. There you go. Short and sweet. They're getting right to the point. Hey, look, if you're not a resident of this state, okay. So, one of the things I could think about then, now I'm pretty sure it won't work this way, but if I'm in Arkansas and I go to Florida, I'm not a resident of the state of Florida. So I'm a non-resident, right? I would need to pledge. So, though I believe all of their DMV systems are now connected, they can kind of see that, I believe. I'm not sure. Then, yeah, I would be a non-resident if I were to be down in there. So each one of us really has ruined or allowed them to ruin our names by registering them with our local area because that's where we live. We wanted to do it to vote and get all these benefits, but then they turned that because that's what the word register means, to register. Okay. There's a loss or a change when you see the word re. So remember up here, non-resident. So if they ask you to be a resident, oh, give me a piece of mail with your name in all capitalized letters on it and a zip code so I can allow you to use the benefit of being a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen instead of a private citizen or a state citizen or a national. I need you to say that you are a resident of ours, a member, an employee, a slave, product, whatever you want to call it. And once again, it's to res your identity. They removed, converted from the private to the public, your identity. They resed your identity. Or you can look at it as you recited, entered. You recited and entered. Either way, if you're so your name became a resident, which actually is a legal person, your ens legis. And person can mean a person, place, thing, association, legal person. So that's why we're able to do this. See, it's a little trick that they played. I mean, it's a legitimate offering they gave us, but we didn't need it. We asked them for it. And in that, we lost some of our rights because we went from the private to the public. And now that our name is stuck there, even though it is a legal person, if you really want to know the real truth of the law on the legal level, I am not a resident of this state. My name is. It's been converted into a resident. But my name and its name look identical, other than the fact that it is in all capitalized letters. All capitalized letters is conspicuous format for commercial entities, which are what the states are. So I'm not a resident at all. I'm a national, Native American. But that name that looks like mine, they want to construe it to be me. And they can do that if I have a driver's license or I say I am. The moment I create an affidavit and I say I am not one, that I am not one. But my all caps name will always be. But see, they can't force you to be that all caps name. That's forcing joinder. It's a federal offense. You can't force me into a contract. I can't go to a cop's house at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, you are going to be an on-duty cop right now. I need you to go do something. He's going to tell you what? This is my private home. I'm not in my public capacity because he's at his private home, so it's in private capacity. I can't force him to be that unless his job says 24 hours, 7 days a week. He's not. And really, if he's off duty, he does not have police powers because he's not signed in. He's a private citizen at that point in time doing a citizen's arrest who happens to be trained as a police officer, so he gets a little leeway. Which, by the way, regular people who are citizens can do a citizen's arrest too. I just wouldn't go out there trying to be Batman or some shit. That's all I'm saying. So let's see what else they got. Temporary resident for commercial. Nope, because once we see the commercial, this is void for us. Don't need it unless this applies to you, but this no. Nope, commercial. Nope, good. Government vehicles are exempt. Yep, I already made a video on that with the federal license. There is no such thing. They don't need it because those vehicles are owned by the government and the government doesn't have to issue or force their employees or members, etc., to have a license. They do tell them you should have a driver's license, but they don't need one. You don't need it at all. Underneath this code, persons exempt from driving license, high level pointer here. Okay, so non-residents with a valid driver's license. So already the word driver is commercial. License, commercial. from their home jurisdiction and certain other categories like military on duty are exempt from needing an Oklahoma driver's license while driving here. Well, I'm not driving here because driving is commercial. Black Law Dictionary tells us that. And that's what they base their legal stuff on. So we're good because they can only regulate that which is in the public. You're operating in private capacity. But if you do something stupid like speed or do whatever else, cause a crime, or you jump out twerking at the red lights, jumping out at the lights twerking, yeah. Uh, doing donuts in the middle of the street, you're waiving your rights to be private, and they can arrest you and prosecute you. You've waived them. You're not above the law. All right. So let's see what it's. Nope, not this one. So let's see what we can decipher out of their code here. Non-resident vehicle registration, stays, employment, students.
47 OS Section 1125. Certain non-resident vehicle owners required to register vehicle, exceptions. A. If the
Do you see how they said that? Certain non-resident vehicle owners required to register vehicles. Okay, so they're trying to say that, oh, you are required to register a vehicle. Well, in your home state or your home territory, country, etc. But then they're saying, oh, but then they throw in this little word at the end here, the exceptions. First of all, I would argue all day that I'm not even a non-resident. And you want to say vehicle owner, well, it's an automobile. We could argue all that all day. So we're just going to keep it on a medium level of the law. I'm not going to go into the minutia on that, but you get it. So they basically start off by saying here, it's almost like a, oh yeah, you have to register. Cough, cough. Exceptions though, exceptions to this.
the owner of a vehicle becomes employed in this state,
Why would they say that? Because the word employed, like deployed, is in their jurisdiction for commercial, public, 14th Amendment U.S. citizens. Okay, so what they're really telling you here is that non-resident registration are exempt. But here are the exceptions to being exempt. If you're employed, so if you take employment in the state, okay, and you can really look up and argue what real employment is, it's generally the public office, but they'll try to construe it to be, your normal corporation, which, okay, we could argue that out, but we're not going to do that here. All right. Because technically, your corporation that you work for is a franchise of the state, and they can call their members employees or that you are employed there. So they're not wrong, but if you are employed and the vehicle's in your name, then you're not a resident or a non-resident. You're a resident.
state, the vehicle is deemed to be subject to tax in this state and, within 30 days from the date of employment, shall be registered upon the same terms and conditions that resident owners are required to register such vehicles in this state. However, the owner of the vehicle who is employed in this state and commutes daily from an adjoining state shall be exempt from the provisions in this section.
Okay. So if you live in another state, okay, lowercase s, you're exempt to cross the line and be there and be regarded as a non-resident. They can't force you to be a resident. All that they try to do, which is not illegal, but it's gray area, is to say, well, you've been here so long, we think you're a resident. You have the right to rebut that. Nope, I'm a non-resident, foreign national. Sorry. But remember, your trust, your nation, your state, your entity, your government, whatever you have created, as long as it's actually private and not registered to them, is the non-resident. It is the non-resident legal person owner of the vehicle when done correctly.
Section The penalty for failure to register the vehicle in the manner provided in this subsection shall be equal to the license or registration fee due, and any such vehicle may be seized and held at any time for any such delinquency and sold for non-payment of the license or registration fees in the same manner that domestic vehicles may be seized and sold at any time of the year upon 10 days' notice.
Oklahoma is wild. Y'all wild over there. Y'all started off on some fuckery right here. Because if I was there just reading this so far, I wouldn't even believe that like you can do right to travel there. And that's what they want. They want to muddy this information up to the point where you'd have to be like on the legal level or like me or a lawyer, attorney, or somebody to understand this information. Certain, so not all, non-resident vehicle owners required to register, and then exceptions. So they're telling you non-resident vehicles have a registration somewhere else are exempt. But they're saying if you are employed, then in their state, then you're subject. But they're telling you out of the gate, there are certain ones that are to be registered as non-residents, and that's if you're employed.
If the vehicle is detained by a law enforcement officer of this state and it is determined that the owner of such vehicle has failed to comply with the provisions of this subsection, a penalty of $10 shall be assessed in addition to the penalties previously provided in this section. This penalty of $10 shall be paid to the pension fund of the law enforcement officer, as defined in Section 1 to 147 of Title 47 of the Oklahoma statutes.
That seems a little sketchy. So my fine goes directly into the officer's pension fund. I would question that on the federal with a federal lawsuit or investigation. I mean, like that seems like a conflict of interest. This seems like a lawsuit right here. The officer can pull me over, charge me $10. Of course, this is if you're not in compliance. And then it goes right into his pension fund. So he's got an incentive to pull those types of people over to fatten his wallet. That's a conflict of interest. That's a lawsuit right there, if you ask me, unless I'm missing something.
Statutes, who detained the vehicle. B. Any student certified as a full-time equivalent student by an institution of higher learning in this state and being a non-resident of Oklahoma, presently attending any institution of higher learning, shall not be required to purchase an Oklahoma license plate, provided that the state of residence of such student affords a similar exemption to Oklahoma students attending institutions of higher learning in such state. This exception for non-resident students does not apply when such student registers to vote as a resident in Oklahoma. C. Any vehicle, including a manufactured home, other than a commercial truck which is owned by a visiting non-resident and is properly registered in its native state for the current year and remains here for any period in excess of 60 days shall be registered upon the same terms and conditions that resident owners are required to register such vehicles in this state. Any vehicle within this state, owned by a non-resident which is not properly registered in its native state for the current year, shall be registered under the same terms and conditions as such domestic vehicles are required to be registered.
So they're really not telling you directly in here any way that a non-resident is exempt. They're telling you that as a non-resident, these are the reasons why you would have to be registered. So let's see what else we can find. I mean, depending on how you want to interpret even this right here, you could argue that this could be the correct code, but let's see what else we have here. Once again, it's for commercial vehicles. That's not what we are. Exempt vehicles, government vehicles, special mobilized machinery, farm vehicles, So really, this one right here, this is the proper code. Though once again, I would argue that we're not driving, but related driver's license exemption. So here, they don't even call it like a non-resident registration. They just say persons exempt. That's how they hide it, guys. That's why I always put in the word exempt. This was a tricky one. This was a good one to do. So I'm glad whoever asked me to do one for Oklahoma, because this one would have tripped me up. I mean, I already know non-resident and how to move, but it's always good to find their code. So this was a good last one to do. ChatGPT put in related driver's license exemption, but it might have taken me a lot longer to find that they just have persons exempt. That's all they have. So Oklahoma 470 or O.S. section 6-102V1, persons exempt from driver's licensing. Non-residents with a valid driver's license from their home jurisdiction and certain other categories. So they said like military on duty, but they do not expand on here. They just say certain other categories. Well, what are those categories? If you're not going to list them, then my interpretation is if you're not going to list the other categories, you're just going to say like military on duty, then this is definitely the one I'm going to use and fall into. You cannot force me to have a valid driver's license from my home jurisdiction. You can't force me. That's my home jurisdiction. But knowing how Oklahoma moves, I would create my own valid, maybe vehicle identification operator permit or identification card. I wouldn't call it their same wording. I wouldn't make it look like theirs just to cover this base in case they try to harp on you with this. But they don't have jurisdiction over non-residents unless you're employed or your entity is employed. So don't employ your entity while you're in their jurisdiction, in their area, meaning on paper. They don't own all of the roads. They don't own every single you being there. Remember, there's Oklahoma State, which is the Oklahomans, and then there's the state of Oklahoma. So there's a republic, which is the private. The roads by law can be used by public or private entities, persons, etc. So you're operating private. That's why they have persons exempt. All right. It says they are exempt from needing an Oklahoma driver's license while driving here. Well, first of all, I'm not driving, but okay. And I know some people out there, well, yeah, you're going to use some fancy sovereign C word, you know. No, it's the truth. The federal jurisdiction, federal court, Supreme Court have already ruled that driving is not the same thing as traveling by your automobile. Driving a motor vehicle means that that vehicle is or is to be registered when doing commercial things to the state in which you're doing the operation. Traveling in your private conveyance or private automobile is not the same thing because you're not generating compensation or income. They regulate everything public that requires a license. Driving does, in fact, require a license, but not private operation. But they're not going to put that here. So one could legally sue pretty much any of these states and say that you are obfuscating the information. You're deliberately hiding the way this really should be said out. Native Americans, nationals, private citizens, nationals of the United States, foreign persons are exempt. If you're not registered here to us, you are exempt, but you should be taught how to operate your vehicle on the roads safely, following the speed limits, signs, and other things, all the due signs and summonses of the road. That's how it's supposed to be. But because they are commercial, they have to speak commercial. So this technically is the best that they can say. Could they say it better? Yeah. They don't want to. Why would they want to make it easy for you? You don't want anybody exerting their rights, freedoms, and liberties. Are you crazy? That's not how they make money. This is how they make money. Commercial, they can only administer jurisdiction over commercial things. And because the driver's license has the word driver in it, which means commercial, means a commercial operation, they can regulate it. So if you're doing Uber Eats, DoorDash, or whatever, that's a commercial activity. Going to work is not commercial. Coming home from work, going to your friend's house, going to get food, that's not commercial. That's leisure, that's pleasure, that's private. So generally, most people should not have a driver's license, but it does not hurt to have one. But that's the game. They want you to be a resident of theirs. They want to give you a license, and they make money off of the fees. And then they don't tell you, but the driver's license is commercial. It's in the word driver because they can regulate it. Anything they can regulate is public or commercial. The public is opposite of the private. Try going to a judge's house or the governor of your state or a police officer or a lawyer's house after hours. They're gonna look at you crazy. Like, how'd you find my house? This is private. I'm not in duty right now. I'm in private capacity. That's what they're going to tell you. So they know all about it, but when they're on their job, they're here acting on public stuff. So are you or are you not public? Because if you're public, you're lumped into being in the commercial area. Even if you're not doing something commercial, if you have the license, your license has the ability to be used for generally private things, but you're still private in the public. You're not private. You're public private. And your license can be then used, which is why you don't have to get a special ID for most normal things commercial. So this would be your code and passage right here. Persons exempt in Oklahoma. And each state has one. But if the state doesn't have one, and you have to be thorough to make sure they don't, you can use that against them. You can't tell me anything if you don't have a law talking about it. But remember, they can only govern you if you waive your rights to be private. Sure, there are some cops who definitely do know about this. Some sheriffs I know personally who know about it. My next door neighbor was a cop. He knows exactly what I do. He said, "Yeah, he's like as long as you know the law." I think it's just mostly he likes my car, so whatever. But you still have to watch all the videos on Right to Travel. You're still going to need to send out your documents to the police station, the chief of police, the chief sheriff. I would send it to the law enforcement in your area's legal department, your governor, your Democrat or Republican, both of them, Congress people in your state, your mayor. I'm just going to tell you, most of them are not going to like it, but at least when you get it to the police station and you want to put a heading on there or attention to the legal department, because the legal department should see this so that they can start to update their officers on how to deal with that. They can still pull you over and prosecute you if you're being a belligerent combatant, speeding, doing something criminal, or trafficking, or whatever else. Those are still criminal things. And understand that even if you do use your constitutional right, which is secured by the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, and the federal court and the Supreme Court have already ruled right to travel, when done properly, is your right. You still need to make sure you operate as a non-belligerent. Do not let them pull you into the jurisdiction. So watch all of the videos. You still need to be prepared mentally, physically, financially, all that stuff. in case. But if they do overstep the law, and a lot of them are learning this, they have to understand that they can be sued in their public or private capacity. Their bank accounts, the state, or who, their people, they'll tell them, "Oh, you're safe. You got bonds." We handle all that through risk management. Most of them are smug. You can't touch me. Yeah, but you still have to come out your pocket $5,000 if they sue you, and then people can also go after you in your private capacity. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to lose your house, your car, and whatever else. So we are giving all of our fellow Americans, you guys are Americans, right? Do notice that we are exerting our rights in the proper legal and lawful fashion, so adjudicated by the higher courts, not the lower courts, because they're in it for the money. The higher courts are in it for our rights, our freedoms, and our liberty. Yes. Once again, guys, do not be out here trying to be smug against them. Be compliant, be cool. Do not give them any reason to believe you are a belligerent or combatant. But if they overstep, arrest you, or take your vehicle, especially because that's unlawful without a warrant, you're going to sue them. And other people have won before you, and they will win after you. But it's your decision if you need to sue. But don't file any frivolous lawsuits. All right. So that's it, guys. That's all I can tell you for now. Like I said, these are some of the last videos I'm going to do for now. I'm going to take a break and learn some more stuff in different areas of my life instead of just focusing on this. So, yes, you won't see me quite as much unless you go over to Badwolf Unrestricted, my other YouTube channel. And yeah, I'm going to get away from this for a while, take a little vacation, and learn some new things because this is not all I want to do with my life. And I know hundreds of other subjects and I never get to talk about them. So now that I have your attention, if you want to join me once again on YouTube, Badwolf Unrestricted, I'll catch you guys over there. Have a great season. Stay warm. Take care of yourselves and each other. I believe in you. Stay healthy. All that good stuff. Just everything. Be good. Stay out of trouble. And I'll talk to you guys later. Wolf's out. Oh, yes, I will still be doing consultations when I'm not on vacation. And yes, um, Black Site 32 will be up and running. JamesCLovett.com will be up and running. And yeah, we're going to work on some new things and we'll still be doing some lives from time to time. So watch the videos. I want to give you guys time now to watch all the videos because everybody's like, you've got so many videos. You don't have to watch all of them. Watch the ones that pertain to you, but all of them are going to have some knowledge to help you. And my lives are usually fire, lots of information, lots of gem drops. Watch those while I'm on this break. And letting you guys live your lives. So watch all the videos from back in the day up to here, and you will find that you guys are very knowledgeable in this, and you will not be easily fooled from this point forward. You'll know what's going on. And understand this, there's nothing wrong with having the straw man or using it properly or having a driver's license. You don't have to do right to travel to be a national or a private. You don't believe you're a national, even for the cops out there? Okay, Google search this. GPO Style Manual, Section 5.23. The natives of the several states will be known as under the following forms. Section 5.23. Google's always listening. It's good to know the government's always listening to me. I like that. They learn a lot of things. So, or you don't believe that you're a national and this private citizen or U.S. citizen. You're not both. You don't have both. Look up on Cornell Law EDU, 8 U.S.C. 1401. Read that code, or 8 U.S.C. 1101A 21 A and B, or specifically B for me. The truth is there. So be mad, don't like me, whatever gets you through the day. But the facts are still the facts. This isn't some guy just making up things. You don't believe me? Look it up. After you look it up, then tell me how you feel about it. Because guess what? Even to our police officers, our lawyers, our judges, our attorneys, our whoever out there in the public, even postal workers, I heard some of them don't like me and this information. Don't listen to some YouTube guy. you're a national as well. You don't have to be, though. And some of you show it by being against your own rights and freedoms and liberties. So imagine that. If in fact I'm correct, and there's this group of people, whoever they may be out there, controlling the United States corporation, and they're at war with us. And by the way, a good book to read is Fruit from a Poisonous Tree. But let's say they're against us. How would you do that without even putting any soldiers here to make it abrupt? I would do it in a commercial way. I would take them over so subtly. I would control their banks. I would put things to modify their health into their normal products, things that they eat, things that they take, things that they see on TV. I would affect and corrupt their music. I would go after their women. I would make their women want to be independent, boss babes, bad bitches, so that they don't need a man, so that they come to the system for that's male run and operated. Funny how they don't need a man, but it's still man run and operated. And I would make them want to be independent. Then, if they needed that independence, I would say, well, but in order to get these food stamps and food card and privileges and benefits, you can't have a man in the house. That way, there's no balance there for the offspring to learn a good, healthy man's mind with a good, healthy woman's mind. I would figure out who's has the most money in that situation or relationship. Generally, 70% of it is the man, though the ladies are encroaching on that. I would then go after him, give him no rights, take away his rights, make it so he can't see his kid. He's miserable, doesn't want to be in any more relationships, to break up the family household. I would change their education. I would indoctrinate them through music, celebrities, entertainment, keep them divided from each other, like Sun Tzu's The Art of War. When you're faced with a superior enemy, superior numbers, cause infighting and contention amongst the people, their own, have them infighting. I could go on, but I will talk about more of stuff like this on Badwolf Unrestricted. Remember, this is all education and entertainment. You don't have to believe anything I say. Do whatever you want to do, live your life. But to some people looking for answers, you just found some. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care of yourselves. Bad Wolf's out. Enjoy your holiday season, and I'll catch you guys a couple months next year. It's time, like I said, I'm not retiring, not completely, but it's time for you guys to watch all of my videos, burn them in the memory. Go to my free files on Black Site 32. Highly suggest you guys start reading the Judge Dale PDFs. It's pretty good information. Believe them or not, but do your own research. And as always, vet my knowledge and especially somebody else's. Not everybody out there is really living this life. Be careful you get your information from. You have to live the walk and talk the walk. So don't just do anything somebody told you to do on YouTube. From your favorite non-belligerent, non-combatant, I'm signing off. I may have one or two more videos, but that's going to be it for a while, guys. Thank you for supporting me. Please continue to support. The channel ain't going anywhere. I'm just taking a little break. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Woo! 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 Woo!